2 years into our marriage, I found out my wife is having an affair with a former classmate and we divorce. Years later, her current partner messages me and tries to find out why. My 33M ex-wife, 30F, and I got divorced 3 years ago. In college, we worked at the same restaurant. That's where we met. We were together for 7 years and married for a little over 3.5. We divorced because she cheated twice. 2 years into our marriage, I discover she is having an affair with a former classmate. I collect enough evidence and confront her. She confesses everything. The affair was about 2 months long. This was a really terrible time and was really hard to work through with her. You can call me an idiot, but I am a forgiving person. I do believe in second chances and that people can change. We agreed to reconcile. We did the work. We had marriage counseling. We read some of the books. She went no contact with classmate right away. Open phone policy. We told our parents. She was doing the right things and our relationship was recovering. 1 year into our reconciliation, her aunt dies. I am very busy with work and cannot attend the services as they are on Thursday and Friday, back in her hometown 5 hours away. Her parents and brother no longer live there, so she stayed with a good friend from HS. I had met this friend a few times and was comfortable with that. On Saturday morning, my wife texted me that the car was loaded, and she was about to start making the drive home. About an hour after that, I got a Facebook message from the friend, who stated she wouldn't be able to live with herself if she just let this go, but informed me that my wife had gone out Friday night with some old friends from HS. The friend thought nothing of this until she discovered my wife had left her phone behind and that she didn't come back until the following morning. I had gotten a text that Friday night from my wife that she was going to bed early since the past few days had been emotionally draining. I confronted my wife soon as she got home. She was really hesitant to tell me anything, so I lied to her and told her if we were going to work through this, I needed to know everything like the last time. That got her to confess that she had gone out and had gone home with an old friend from high school. She said they didn't have sex but did do stuff that I won't go into detail about here. It didn't matter. Once I got enough of the truth, I left for my parents' house. That week, my dad called my landlord and paid all the termination fees and got me out of the lease. We went and got my stuff while she was at work. My parents set me up with a friend of theirs that was a divorce attorney, and he cut me a deal. Took about 7 months for divorce to go final. That was 3 years ago. I have an awesome girlfriend, and am doing well. This past weekend, I got a Facebook message from a guy who is now engaged to my ex-wife. He introduced himself and said he was probably just being crazy, but he wanted to know why we had gotten divorced. He said he had broached the subject a few times, and she always gets weird. She had told him we had divorced because we grew apart, but mostly she just deflects or is really, really vague. I told him the truth and offered evidence if he would like. He declined and thanked me for my time and story. A day later, I get a phone call from a local but unknown number. I answer, and it's my ex-wife. She is really upset and asking me why I am trying to ruin her future. I get her to calm down and talk. She says her fiancé has asked for some space and is staying with his parents this week. That he is saying he needs to reevaluate their relationship. She wants to know why I told him all about their past and why I'm still punishing her. She tells me she's not that person anymore and has done all this work and been in therapy. That she deserves another chance and I'm being petty and hateful. There were a few generic insults thrown. I got a little pissed and told her if she really changed for the better, she would have been upfront with him about our past, and owned up to cheating in her prior marriage, and then gone about showing her fiancé that she was ready to be a worthy partner to him, unlike she was with me. Instead, she tried to lie and hide the truth, and now it's blowing up in her face again. She said a few choice words and hung up. I haven't heard anything since. I told my girlfriend and she reassured how I handled it. But I find myself feeling guilty. I still believe in second chances and that people can change. While I would have felt wrong lying to the guy, I wonder if I should have handled the whole thing differently or just not responded. If she is truly different and this is just a blip, I don't want to be the thing that prevents her from finding happiness, but also believe I'm not what's hurting her engagement. AITA? Update. I really didn't expect to give an update because I assumed I'd never hear anything from my ex-wife or her fiancé again. Last night I received a very, very long text from my ex-wife. I'll summarize it below because it was long and did have personal details. She started off by apologizing for the way she talked to me the other day and said I didn't deserve to be insulted like that. She then went on to explain herself and her situation. She started by acknowledging that this whole situation wasn't my concern or business, and apologized for me being drawn into it, and said she was embarrassed that their issues were being aired out. She said it was her fault this happened. Since she began dating her fiancé, she has hidden the details of our marriage out of shame and guilt. For the most part, it was never brought up until he proposed a couple months ago. That's when he first really asked and seemed to want to know. She said she wasn't ready to deal with that and kept trying to rug sweep it. But he persisted. This is when she started therapy, so apparently she's only had a few therapy sessions and all are recent. She never thought he would reach out to me. She then stated that none of this was my fault and apologized for blaming me. She said she should have faced this a long time ago, gotten therapy for ruining our marriage, and come to terms with her own feelings of guilt. Then she apologized for her affairs and way I was treated during our marriage. The last part was just her stating that she was not expecting a response back, wishing me the best, and saying that hopefully her and her fiancé will never bother me again. This morning, when I got up and read this, I sent back a brief message. I appreciate the apologies and am glad you are working on yourself. I have moved on from what happened and hope you can move on from this. The only bit of advice I have is I think this text needs to go to your fiancé. She responded back just by saying thank you and that he's received far more and far longer texts. I doubt there'll ever be another update. I actually hope there isn't. I don't believe in closure, but I will say it was refreshing to hear her apologize without an asterisk. That's what I always got before. I'm so sorry I just drank too much and I'm so sorry I was just really depressed and stressed and doesn't mean a whole lot really, maybe just unexpected for me, but it was nice to hear an apology that has no excuse trailing behind it. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day now and leave all this behind me. Wanted to address a small set of commenters from the first post, though. I had several people hung up on that my dad paid my termination fees and got me out of my lease. He did that of his own accord, to take a lot of the stress of the separation off me. I included that to show how I had a support system that was behind me and willing to help in any way, no questions asked. It really helped me through the healing process, and I got back on my feet pretty quickly after. I'm sorry if you don't have anyone there for you when you're at your lowest, but it doesn't make you better or manlier or whatever you were going for when you made those comments. Having to face any and every challenge on your own is really just kind of a sad existence, in my opinion. I hope that changes for you, and you'll find someone to be in your corner someday. Story 2. I destroyed my ex-boyfriend's Lego sets and gave him 1 week to move out after he threw away my teddy bear. I just need to vent. I 24F have been living with my 25M now ex-boyfriend for about 8 months now. I have a teddy bear that my grandmother gave to me when I was younger. It has no monetary alum, but the sentimental value is more important. When I was 8, she gave it to me while she was struggling with cancer. It was stage 4 and spread quickly, and there was nothing they could do. She gave me a teddy bear and told me to take care of it, and I could talk to the teddy bear whenever I missed her. She got one of those talking mics put in it, and it would say, "I hope you're feeling loved today because I love you more than all the stars in the sky and all the fish in the sea, and you mean the world to me." She would say that all time when I would spend the night. He knows how much it means to me. I told him. He's seen me hugging the bear and sitting outside to talk to my grandma when I was sad, or just needed to vent without judgment or even a response. 2 days ago, he decided that it was raggedy and not appealing to look at. I can admit, Bear has been through it. I carried it around with me everywhere for 2 years. He would go in my book bag when I went to school, went to dance class with me. He even went out of town when I had cheer meets when I got into high school. My cousin pulled out one of his eyes when I was 10 and he's missing an arm when my brother got mad at me and cut it off. It was sewn back on and then ripped off again. You get it. But he was mine. I found a button that was exactly like his from some bear at a Goodwill and was going to sew it in his eye. I went to my room. We have separate bedrooms. I can decorate my space how I want and have my workspace and the same for him, but we always sleep together. I just never had my own room and have only been living alone for 2 years, so I want to keep that for a while. I went in there to do it, and he wasn't on my bed. I went scouring for him for hours, and he watched me. I started to cry because that was the last thing she gave me and she made special for me. He finally told me he threw it away because it was disgusting, and he hated coming in my room and seeing it. I got so mad and I felt so betrayed. He likes to spend time on Legos and building them. He's built the Eiffel Tower, the Harry Potter Tower, a cherry blossom tree, and dozens of other. I went to his room and I destroyed them all. I threw the pieces around the room and out the window and in the garbage. He came in screaming at me and saying how dare I touch his things he bought with his money, and he spent hours on it. I told him he can GTFO and spend hours rebuilding it someplace else because I'm done with him. He started telling me I was overreacting and whatever else. I forget a lot of the argument because I was pissed. I told him he had 1 week to get his things out and move out, but he wasn't staying here while it happened. He started telling me that I couldn't do that and he paid bills. I told him I really don't give a shit, and to get out or I'd call the police. We have mutual friends, and he's told them a completely different story because two have texted me asking, how could I do that to him? And I really don't care to clear it up. In the moment, I didn't feel bad, but now I kind of do, because that's his hobby. But I was so hurt and betrayed by what he did. He's even called me a few times saying he'll get me another and we can work on things and don't throw away 3 years over a mistake, but I am completely disgusted by him. Update. I want to say thank you to all the people who told me not to give up on finding my bear because I went out in that dumpster for 3 hours with my sister, my best friend, and even a neighbor came down to help when I told him what happened. And I fucking found it. I am so relieved and beyond happy. Also, I love all the men calling me crazy and he dodged a bullet, and I committed a crime and he should call the police and take me to court as if he didn't go into my personal space and throw away my property because he didn't like my property in my personal space. He's lucky that's all I did, and I didn't sue him for it. Men are telling me I committed a crime, as if he didn't, that I'm crazy for destroying his things. But he isn't. That I'm immature for being upset that he threw the last thing I have of my grandmother out. But he can buy replicas of the same Harry Potter Lego set until the day he dies if he wants to, but I'm the worst person to ever walk this planet. It's insane. Anyway, I found it, he's air drying, I'm gonna sew the button in over the weekend, my dad and brother will be here while he comes to get his stuff, and that's that. I'm free of someone who doesn't respect my space or how I feel. Oh, and I didn't come here to ask if I was an AH, I don't care if I was LOL. Now that I found my bear, I really don't care, and can't wait to have my apartment to myself again. Oh, one more thing, I did tell our mutual friends what he did. I took a picture of all of us digging through the trash to find my bear. I took a picture of the bear and the state he was in after I found him, and told them, thank you for taking his side and not even trying to figure out the full situation. He threw away my property, so I took away his hobby. I also sent the text of him begging me to take him back and admitted what he did. How he watched me cry for hours while I looked for it knowing he threw it out. He watched me be distressed and didn't care. Those friends have texted me saying he said I cheated on him, and when he didn't take me back, I went crazy.